Everyone. I'm so excited to be here with my friend and rock star client, Dr. Erin McFerson. So welcome, Dr. Erin, and those of you who are joining us today. I'm super excited to share this amazing woman with you. She has a gigantic heart and uses that big heart as a great source of attraction for her practice members. And, so many times I hear docs talk about, well, I have such a big heart, so it's really hard to be a business person. So, let's just jump in there. Like, what do you think about that? And how have you, I don't want to say overcome your heart, because we always lead with our heart, but how have you balanced having a big heart and being a rock star entrepreneur to triple your business since January? Because you have a big heart. I didn't know people did that. So let's start there.
Well, thanks. I don't really know how to turn it off, so I don't know if I have a really good answer for you. I feel like that is the feedback that I get from patients. The reason why they're seeing me is because they know that I really care and I take my time to explain what's happening to them and what's going on with their bodies. I don't know. I'm just loving and caring for my patients and it's working. So I don't know. I guess I don't have a good answer for that.
So let me ask you in this way. So how do you find that, many times when people let their heart get in their way, it's when making care instructions or when a practice member, says, oh, I can't pay today, or any of those myriad of things. How do you overcome that with a big heart? Do you just let people trample all over you? And did you used to? And are you out of that now?
There you go. I definitely used to. I used to kind of just let patients kind of control their care plan and they could just do what they wanted. And, if they said, oh, I don't have time, I can pay for it. I used to just kind of go, well, okay, I guess I hear ya. And now you've really helped me to be like, business is business. Don't take things personally. Though that's still my initial response. I want to just jump in and be like, oh no, what did I do? But you're definitely helping me to get out of that and just then turn it around and ask them why, what's going on, and just keep figuring out what's going on in their lives. And it's still caring, it's still loving. But I'm coming from a place of hey, I wouldn't tell you need to come in if you really didn't. I'm telling you these things because I care for you. And that's what you need. If that makes sense. So it's still difficult.
I think you just nailed it right there. Probably you didn't even realize it. So you said, I come back and ask them a question. I come back and ask them why. Yeah. So the old way was they put up resistance and you used to immediately make it about you. Oh my gosh, what did I do? Well, as soon as we start asking, what did I do? The other person is irrelevant. So instead, what you're doing now is putting it back to the practice member, tell me more. What's going on? How can I best serve you? And this is the most conservative care plan I could possibly give you to get the results that you're looking for. So to tell you anything less is me not caring about you. And I really think that's the tipping point. And obviously in our coaching, we've worked about that is it's not about you. Let's talk without obviously naming names. The situation that happened the other day of a practice member who said, I'm not coming back. And then we talked about it. And then what happened?
Right. So we talked about it. I just came back to her. I'm getting a little feedback. I hope that's just on my end. Perfect. Okay. So I basically, just went and asked her hey, what was going on? We had a great time. I just want to, in order for me to serve you best and my other practice members the best, I'd love to get your feedback. What was going on? What can I do to help it make the experience better or whatnot? And I actually learned a lot. We gleaned a lot from it. And it wasn't a personal thing. It was just something that we were able to talk about and work through. So in my old way, I would have just shut down and been like, oh, I was really sad. What did I do? And instead I just said, hey, what's going on?
Yes. And I love it that you said, in order to serve you better and other individuals, I want to learn. And I find so often when we we have that attitude, and I have that attitude too. Like if I do a coaching call with somebody and they're like, no, I want to know, all right, so what's prompting your no? Why are you saying no? How can I help you? And, many times somebody's no is really just insecurity, and doctors, this one's for you. It's a neuronal synapse that they so often say no to themselves. They so often say no to growing bigger. They so often, like, their habit is to say no, even though they don't even really have a reason why. It's just that habit. And so doctors, I'm telling you right now, from my heart to yours, stop the cycle of no for yourself. Like, if you're presented with an opportunity to grow, to expand, to 10x your life, to massively move forward, even though that negative voice, that victim voice says, oh, but, that should be your sign to jump. So let's talk about that. Yeah. So let's go back to when you and I first met. What were you doing? What was the situation? And how did you get to tripling your practice in such a short amount of time?
Right. Let's see. So I first started talking to you. All right. This feedback's driving me nuts. Sorry. So I first started talking to you right after I got married. It was like the craziest year of my life. I started my practice. I planned the wedding. I mean, not to get into all the details, but lots was going on. So once that calmed down, it's like, I remember that Barb lady. I was going to talk to her. My business is still slow. It's just like, I don't feel like I'm where. Ultimately, I was in a different location and it just wasn't really going very well. And I knew I needed to make a change, and I knew I wasn't going to be fixing it because it had been a year and a half of me just like trying to do my thing and nothing was really clicking. So we got on a call. I think it was like, I don't know, we talked for like an hour, and then I was like, okay, she's my woman.
That's right.
So you basically, in that small talk, we figured out, yes, I needed to move my business, which was terrifying because it was all the way across town. So, I mean, that just meant like really starting from the ground up. It was a little scary because I moved my practice into my house, which was also a little like, is this going to work? Is this going to be good? And you helped me through the whole process. It was really smooth. I think it was 2 months. I got out of the old place. I got into the new one. And now my business is doing insanely good. I can't kind of believe it. So, basically I was just kind of churning, thinking I could do it. I kind of told myself I was going to give myself a year into practice on my own. And if it wasn't really doing what I thought it should do, I was going to call for the help that I kind of knew I should have done from the get-go, and I didn't. So I can't imagine where I'd be if I had have called you right when I finished school, when I initially looked into you. So, But
so let me ask you this: how do you overcome fear? Because I remember on our call, it was like it just clicked, and like you and I were talking about it before we got on this interview. Trust, right. So how have you developed your trust muscle, and how do you see that that's played into, like Dr. Erin isn't doing like baby steps in her practice, like tripled her practice and like opened in her new location, and really hasn't had a lot of people from the old practice and the new practice. And so it really and truly is brand new. So let's talk about the importance of trust in not only our coaching relationship, but what has that done in your practice?
Okay. Well, I will say I was not very trusting of any coaches. I remember being in school and just being bombarded with tons of people trying to get you to do this thing and this is the best. And so I was really just reluctant to take on any coach. And I remember talking with you and then talking to a couple of people you were coaching with, and I'd like to think I'm actually a really trusting person, but in this one regard, I had my walls up. And so I think what you said really resonated with me. It was so where I was, what I needed to do. I knew I do best in life when I have somebody kind of kick me in the butt, but also I needed somebody who was just going to be caring and also like be able to hug me when I need it virtually, I guess. So yeah, what you said was really true. And it scared me. I'm not going to lie. Like I knew what I was going to have to do was going to be kind of scary, and I was going to put myself out there and going to be on Facebook Live. Like absolutely never did I think I was going to do that. And now I'm going to just do one right after this. So it's kind of funny how the things that terrify you, all of a sudden they're now like, no big deal. So
yes, I'm so glad you just said that.
I just kind of had to jump in. And once I jumped in and I just knew like the fear is good. Like I know I'm in the right direction if it doesn't feel comfortable, because that's how we grow. So yeah, I learned a lot from you.
That is so awesome. And I hope all of you who are watching heard what she just said. Now I know if there's fear, I'm in the right place. Where if I'm not like afraid, that means I'm sitting on my heels and look out, because you are just like sitting back and waiting instead of being aggressive. So I have to tell you, there are 4 real key things. And if you watch my new training that I just released this week, you'll hear them, but it's your niche, your message, your scalability, and your tech. And what Erin was saying there is really, really important about having your message that speaks directly to your ideal practice member. In my case, obviously it's my ideal client. And Erin is a perfect ideal client for me, because she just takes what I'm teaching her and says, let's go. And regardless of the fear, regardless if she's never done it before, we don't have to spend a month with her, like debating me on, are you sure it shouldn't be this way? And should I do it like this? Meanwhile, that person is working on getting it perfect while Dr. Erin's tripling her business. So you really have to decide, do you want perfection or do you want money in the bank and lives being changed as a result of your message, your niche, your scalability, and your tech? And Erin is doing exactly that. So let's talk about doing Facebook Live. I still remember telling you, like, you're going to do it. And you're like, okay, Mom, let's go.
Why not?
Yeah, exactly. So when you did it, and my mom just said, absolutely. So this is where I get my stuff from. My mom, fear produces growth. Like I don't even remember like having, can I tell a funny story? My mom will think this is funny. So I'm the baby of the family.
Same.
And I distinctly remember that when my mom and my sister and I would be places, that I got nominated to go ask the question or go do whatever. And it's not because like my mom and my sister, like, like fade into the background or whatever. I was just told, hey, Barb, you go ask. And so I guess I was just young and dumb. And so I'd always be the one that would go and ask, or always be the one, who does that kind of thing. And so I encourage all of you who are watching, who are mothers, like, teach your kids to act in spite of fear, and don't placate them, even like when they're young and they fall and hurt themselves. Just like, you're fine. Like, keep rolling. Instead of like being all wrapped up in all of these emotions. And I don't know about you, but my emotions usually aren't a really great indicator of reality, because I can be this way and I'm telling on myself. So I hope my husband doesn't watch this. I can be this way right now and in an hour totally change. So I have learned that there's a difference between trusting your emotions, I think, as well as trusting your gut. They're two different things. So remember, and Charisse, oh, I love you, Charisse. I miss you. Charisse just said, emotions breed fear. You're absolutely right. And remember, we never feed fear with time. So let's talk about that for a second. Never feed fear with time, because fear loves time. I don't know if you've ever done this before, but it's this little thing. And then I think about it and I think about it and I think about it.
Oh, never. I don't know what you're talking about.
That's so awesome. So never feed fear with time. So let's talk about what you've done in your practice where you've starved fear of time.
Yeah. And kind of jumping back to something you had said, it clicked something in my mind of being Whew, I tend to be a perfectionist, and in school I was completely the perfectionist that studied ridiculously way too hard for everything, and oh my God, it's just kind of ridiculous. And once I get to practice, like that served me well in school, not so much in practice. I mean, when I first started writing my Facebook posts, it takes me like a half hour just to like put something down, and now I'm like, I remember you just like, hey, if you're waiting for it, somebody else has already done it. Like, just do it.
Yes.
Sure, my Facebook Lives were probably not the best. I remember my first one, I had to like redo it because the video was like not even straight. So like my old self was like cringing, and my new self's like, you'll do better next time. So
yeah, absolutely.
Like, I guess my fear of not being perfect really held me back. And now that I've just kind of like, all right, it's good. Not perfect, but it's good. That has so helped me and you just learn, right? You just do it enough. And now I'm way better at it. So yeah.
So Erin, how do you do that though? Like, how do you shift from, I'm going to say something about it, but I'm more so curious as to what you think about it. Like, how do you shift from I'm a perfectionist, everything's got to be right, to I'm just jumping in? Because like that's a big gap. How do you do that? Or how have you done that? Because that's another thing that makes you an ideal candidate for me, is that you just jump. If I say, hey, Erin, it's going to be best if we do this, you're like, all right, let's just do it.
Right.
And for everyone watching, that is part of what has tripled her business. She's not sitting back on her heels. And I will tell you, she doesn't have a huge marketing budget or advertising budget.
No. Right
there, that woman on this camera, that is her marketing and that is her advertising is getting out there.
Yeah.
So how'd you make that leap? Even to the point where when you opened your practice, it was like door to door. Who does that?
Oh, I actually dropped things off door to door, but it was great exercise. So I was doing something I loved and I was getting outside. So honestly, it's easy when I'm doing stuff that I already would want to do and that I love doing. And being now in a community where my niche is, then just doing those things is just natural. It just happens. I don't feel like I'm that sleazy salesman, like, come, you'll love it. Like, no, it's just genuine. And I would say just trusting you, knowing like, hey, she's done this. She knows what she's talking about. And I talked to other doctors you were working with and got all the feedback that just told me, just do it. Just listen to this woman. She knows what she's talking about and run with it. Worst case scenario, you just learn other techniques like or something, but it works. So, it wasn't easy. It still is not. Let's be honest. Sometimes things come up and I'm like, really? I have to do that. And then I do it and then it works. So I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
So, I'm not going to lie. It's not easy. It's still tough, but it's like it's that paradigm shift. When we first started working with each other in those videos you were giving me, that was like light on, hello. Okay. Yeah, man, obviously I need to go back and watch some of those, but, but they were huge. So it's really the paradigm shift and, having the confidence in myself to know that I can do what I'm doing and just trusting what you are telling me is going to work, and clearly it's working. So I guess that hopefully answers the question.
Absolutely. And how have you built that confidence muscle? Like, was it just something you sat back and you thought about a whole bunch?
I will say some of it was just like waking up and being like, you're successful. You can do this.
Yes.
Yeah, just like changing my brain pattern. So I'm not thinking, oh, what did I do? Instead of, okay, what went wrong? Let's ask questions. So it's that mental shift for sure. So I didn't have to physically do anything, but talk to my brain differently. And that was huge. And then over time, just getting the results that I'm getting then really gave the confidence, and that muscle really like clicked in. And even people like, I was talking to my friend who's also an acupuncturist. She's like, I could just tell you're more confident. Where did this come from? I don't know. Talk to Dr. Barb.
Yeah, absolutely. And it doesn't just come from thinking. Like, I wish I could just think about being like fit again and like super thin and it would magically happen.
Right.
It doesn't. We actually have to take action.
Totally.
And like I just put up here, we never lose. We either win or we learn. The only time you lose is when you stop. So let's talk, Erin, for a couple of minutes about going door to door. Like, who does that? And what were people's reactions? Were they like, "Oh my gosh, you poor thing," or how did they take it?
I got mixed results. Some people were definitely like, "What are you doing?" Because people don't do this anymore. But I would say most people were kind of like, "Oh, cool. You're in my neighborhood. You live here. Oh, cool. Oh, yeah. I walk my dog too." And then it was just, it's what I strived for was building a community. Like that's what I really truly wanted. So it was very much fitting. But if I was not doing that, if that was not my niche, that wouldn't have worked so well, I guess. So, yeah. It was it was mixed results, but I would say in general, people received it well and were actually kind of like, well, that's neat. Yeah. Cause people don't do it anymore.
Yeah.
I feel like we're all just so like separated from each other and on technology and just not face to face anymore. And that's what I strive for. And that's what I want. And that's what I wanted in my practice. So I don't know. It was fun for me. I'm not going to lie. I got great workout.
Yeah, you and Tip were like all over the place.
Oh yeah, Tip loved it. That's just it. He was like the best days ever.
I hope Mom wants to meet more people today because I get to go.
I know.
Yeah, when I opened my practice, I did the same thing. I mean, I had a 16-month-old and a 30-month-old, and I put them in our red wagon, and so this was actually, I guess, a little bit after because I opened in December and I wasn't pulling them around in the snow. But I did too. I went door to door and just said, "Hey, I opened the practice next door to Food Town and I'd love to serve you or the people that you know." And the same thing, I never felt like they looked at me like, "Oh, you poor soul." If anything, they were just like, "Wow, like it's nice to see someone with hustle. It's nice to see someone with like get up and go. It's refreshing."
Yeah.
And can I say that it brought them in droves? I don't know. I was serving 180 office visits in less than 90 days. So I think that's kind of droves. You've tripled your business since January. So I would say that's droves too. So let's talk about how have you done this? Rejection proof yourself. And I think we've talked about it in terms of it's not about, and for anyone who struggles with rejection, stop making it about you. It's not about you. So Erin, let's talk about that rejection proofing yourself as it comes to people on their care plans. Like I also remember when we first started coaching and I would ask you about tell me about the care plans you give your people. And it was more like, well, they kind of tell me when they want to come in. So what shifts have you made and how have you done that? And what results are you getting now because of it?
Right. So you're right. I was basically just letting my patients kind of do what they want. And once I stopped, because I was just taking everything personally and I wanted to make sure everyone liked me and that, I didn't upset anyone. And guess what? Now the way that I'm doing it, people still like me. People are, it's not like all of a sudden this terrible mean person and still me, just different approach. And different thought process. So it's taking that perspective of I'm telling you need this, not to be mean or harsh or whatever. I'm telling you that because I care about you, because I love you, because I know that this is what's going to help you. And because I've seen so many people not follow care plans, come back frustrated, not getting to where they wanted to go. And then we're both not happy because we're both not satisfied. So just taking that approach is huge and it's still coming from a caring place. So
absolutely.
I don't taking things personally. It's just, I got to stop doing that. Everyone, whoever's listening, stop doing that. It's business. But just because it's business doesn't mean the heart's out of it.
Yeah. And I think, again, not to keep hammering this point, except that this point is really, really relevant, is that when you take things personally, what it really says is the other person is irrelevant.
Yeah.
So it's kind of this like weird dichotomy. I think that's the right word, Mom. If it's the wrong word, I'm sorry. But on one hand, the person says, oh, I'm all heart. I'm all heart. But yet then they take things personally, which means actually you're being selfish.
Totally.
Because what you're doing instead in practice is you're coming to your table needy.
Yeah.
You're showing up in practice to get your personal needs met, the need to be liked, the need to be right, the need to be, the need to be comforted. Then like you're showing up needy, even though in your mind, you're saying, well, I have a big heart, so I'm going to let people do what they want to do.
Yeah.
No. Remember that.
What you said that shifted me. It was like, you're being selfish by not telling your patients what they need. And then I thought back to like, I mean, kind of going off on a little rant here, but like, I remember my mom telling me my grandmother was like, just in a lot of health stuff, wasn't taking care of herself. And a new doc came in town. He was young and he just told her, listen, if you keep on the path, you're going to die. Your liver's going to shut down and this and this and this. And she just went cold turkey, changed everything. And that was coming from a loving place. It could have been harsh, but it's loving and he wasn't being selfish. And so every time I like want to do that, I hear you and I think about that situation of like, if I'm not telling them what they really need, who's going to? And who's going to love them enough to like bring them that reality? That's so selfish of me not to. And I don't think of myself as a selfish person, but I completely was. Like you totally called me out on that. So thanks. I actually am not realizing what a big difference that alone has made. Wow. This is great. Thanks for doing this.
Yeah, absolutely. And it is a huge paradigm shift that, I think we have to go back to the reason someone picks up their phone and makes an appointment or schedules online is because they need your direction. Mm-hmm. They need your help. They need to be told this is the complexity and severity of vertebral subluxation complex that's robbing you of health and well-being. And as a result of these subluxations, this and 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 this aren't functioning properly. And asking them, what are your expectations of me as your chiropractor? How long do you want to live like that? And do you want my care and instructions to reflect that? Like you're simply asking them, do you want me to give you the plan? Then how dare we in the report of findings go, oh, well, let's start it 3 times a week and see how it goes. Are you kidding me? Like, why would we ever do that? It would be like saying to your child, you know what, Johnny, like you're 5 now. I'm sure you can figure it out. Seriously? No, they can't figure it out. And so this is also my challenge to every mom or dad watching this. This whole nonsense that we're being told that, oh, your kids should make their decisions. They're not capable of making decisions when they're young. They learn to make good decisions because they've watched you make good decisions for them. And that creates neuronal synapses. That creates them learning what deductive reasoning is all about because you've modeled that for them. And when you don't give them parameters and boundaries to live by, I related back to, I don't know if you ever dated a guy who you just like never knew where you stood, like, are we together? Are we not together? Or I know like when I've done that to guys I've dated, like, I just wasn't really sure. It made them like crazy. And they were like stalkers then, right? Because they wanted to know, where do we stand? Well, parents and even chiropractors, I'm telling you, the people in your life want boundaries. They want to know what are your expectations. Your kids want to know this is okay and this isn't okay. This whole ridiculous thought of everything should be gray. I'm telling you, it's going to ruin your practice and it's going to ruin your kids. So wake up and please stop with the nonsense. It doesn't work like that. Just like in practice. So Erin, now when a practice member says, oh, well, I can't, I can't afford it. Do you buy that anymore? Because like here, Dr. Erin was in a fledgling practice. She was newly married. And you know what? She did a 1-year payment for her coaching. I did the same thing when I started coaching. All I had, honestly, was debt. that's all I had. But I knew if I didn't say yes to coaching, I was not going to get out of the hole that I was in. Actually, I started coaching 5 months before I opened my practice. And I remember it wasn't like you had a pile of cash to just say, all right, let's just keep taking from this. So how did you, so we'll go back to boundaries if you want to say anything about boundaries with your practice members or in life in general. And then how did you make the decision to make a huge investment in yourself?
Boundaries, investment. Okay. I've never really been great at setting boundaries. So that's probably been one thing that we've worked on a lot. And I still struggle with it. And that's going to be something that I know we're going to need to keep going at. But it's getting easier. And I'm seeing, again, I think I had this misconception that setting boundaries was like pushing people away or just like saying no to them. And really it's like, actually, if I don't, like our relationship will suffer on both ends and neither of us will be happy. So, so that's still, I'm working on it, but I'm seeing huge improvement and seeing when you do set them, things just are so much better. Everyone's clear. We get it. They're really important.
Yes.
And then how did I just jump in? I'm a penny pincher, I will tell you that right away. I don't like spending money. I mean, my practice, I don't have all these fancy tools. I never wanted the big everything, the next nice x-ray machine and the tools and the high-low table. Like, no, I am pretty much like, what do I need? Okay, great. That tool works. So the idea of dropping tons of money on a person that I just had only talked to for like an hour seemed kind of insane to me. And like, I remember telling Nick when I wrote the check, like, well, I've done this before. Let's see what happens. But like, I just kind of knew that if I didn't do it, I'm not going to get to where I know I can be, and I'm not going to be the human that I can be. And I'm not going to be the wife that I know I can be, or the everything. Like it's my practice has done so much better, but so many other things have improved as well. So it's like, thanks, Barb. You're not only making my practice great, like you're helping everything. Even my dog's happier. So thanks.
That's awesome. And Dr. Erin has her dog Tip in her practice with her, and is doing just like amazing things. She started a walking club in her community because she wanted to walk, and why not invite other people? So, I learned early on from my coach, Dr. Tony Palermo, to solve your challenges publicly. So when I opened my practice, like I said, I had a 16-month-old and, Samson was 28 months old. And I had gained 100 pounds being pregnant with Micah. And so I still had some weight to drop. And so I started teaching fitness classes in my practice. I taught 9 fitness classes a week. So I taught at 5 a.m., at 7 p.m., and at 8 p.m., 3 times a week. And I obviously got into great shape again, like I had always been, and attracted people. And so the cool thing is I got to use it as a way to build my practice while also taking care of myself, because I figured, you know what? I have to believe there are at least 5 or 10 people in our community that want to get healthy again and don't necessarily want to go to a gym. And boy, was I wrong, because it wasn't 5 or 10. I regularly had 40 people a week in my classes. So let's talk about the walking club. Like, did you get like all kinds of fancy flyers made? And did you do all kinds, like, was everything perfect before you said, put on your sneakers and let's go walking?
Right. Perfectionism. Nope, it was not. I just used social media, and some other like neighborhood websites and whatnot to just kind of get the word out. Like, hey, does anyone want to walk? It's winter. It's freezing up here in Minnesota. Our first walk was like, oh my God, I think -20 degrees with the wind chill. And one other woman showed up and we were both like, this is insane, but here we are. Nice to meet you.
Yay!
And it's grown. And now the women are like, why stop in the winter? Let's keep going. And it's just fun. It's again, I'm just doing what I wanted to do. I knew I needed to get out in the wintertime with the dog, and I needed somebody else to keep me accountable, because turns out I do better with a coach or with friends that are keeping me going. yeah, so it's just been so rewarding on so many fronts. And it's just something like I just needed for myself too. So, people love it and they're really appreciative and it's really cool. I've met some amazing women and men out there. You were allowed to come too, but
yeah.
Yeah.
And I love that you can't lose. Like it's something that even if no one showed up, cool. I'm still going to watch. So I mean, the only thing that can happen is it gets better.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
That's super, super awesome.
Yeah.
And then you've done a great job transitioning some of those who aren't practice members into practice members. And it wasn't because you attacked them.
No,
we
just talked to them.
On let's make sure that we don't just keep having fans, that we got to go strangers into friends, friends into appointments, and appointments into profits. And obviously you're doing that now. So we're 9 minutes past when I thought we were going to be, but it's been tons of fun. So what are your parting words, or what is your advice to others who are watching this?
Well, don't let fear stop you from just taking no action. If you're not taking action, you're not going to grow. You're not going to get what you want. So just taking the leap and trusting somebody to help me, was huge. Well, you, not someone, Dr. Barb. Thank you. And don't wait to be perfect. Just get out there and start doing stuff and do what you love, and it'll come naturally and people will see just your genuine self and they'll appreciate it. And, ask for help when you need it. Seriously, don't let another year go by of just I'll just see what happens, or I'll just send out this flyer and see if it works. No, go big. So right. I challenge you to all go big, 10x, right?
Absolutely. So let's wrap it up with this discussion of everywhere and nowhere at the same time. And instead of hiring your own coach, just getting free stuff from this place and that place and all over the place. Let's talk about that for a second.
Yeah. I love that saying that you have, because that's so what I was doing. It was I talked to this practitioner and they were doing this, and then I'd see this guy, well, they were really happy doing this. And it's just sure, they weren't bad advice and some of it was great, but if you're not connecting, it's just if I just, it hurts here, so I'm just going to adjust that. No, it's a whole body. It's the whole thing. And if you're not looking at the whole picture, you're missing the power of what you can really bring to the table. So that's why I like working with you. You listen to me, you know where I want to go. You're not just some generic, well, this is how we do it and that's how you do it. You totally are this works, so do it.
Yeah.
Goodness, I'm sorry. I just totally lost my train of thought there, but
that's okay.
I'm just too excited.
A really good point, that I hadn't really considered before, that when we're everywhere and nowhere at the same time and we're getting advice, which is way different than coaching. When we're getting advice from this person and this person and this person and this person, it's kind of like being a doctor who chases symptoms.
Totally.
And the person says, oh, it hurts here. And so I run and I adjust that. And oh, wait, it hurts here. So I go and adjust that without ever just critically standing back and going, all right, what is the whole picture? Absolutely. And how does all of this fit together? It's kind of back in my poor days, I would use whatever shampoo was cheapest and whatever conditioner was cheapest, even if they didn't really match together. And then I actually finally started listening to my hairstylist, and she's like, well, listen, they're formulated to match together. So your shampoo does one thing and your conditioner does another thing. Yeah. So it fits together like this versus all over the place.
Exactly.
Did that get you back on your train of thought?
Yeah, absolutely. So, it's basically, if you do all of those things, that's great. But what I needed to do, what we did, was start here with me, with this, and we changed that. And then I went out and I did the things that, some people advised me to do, but I came from a different perspective and a more specific message and finding my niche. And then the advice that people were giving me worked, but I had to start from a different perspective in order to get the results with those things, if that makes sense. So it's not what people are telling you is bad or wrong. It's just, it's like putting the cart before the horse. I was trying to do something before I had really worked it out. Yeah. That makes sense. It makes brilliant sense to me, but
yeah. Or, I think it's the new practice member who comes in and they tell us, well, I'm doing these herbs and I'm doing these ketones and I'm seeing a massage therapist and I'm seeing an acupuncturist and I'm doing this and I'm doing that. And it's like, whoa, let's cut out the noise and let's just get to what's going to make the best results the fastest. And that's a properly functioning nervous system.
Yep.
I mean, if that foundation isn't there, everything else isn't going to work as well as it could because you don't have a solid foundation. Yep. And I really think that coaching does that. It just like kind of brings it all back into, all right, here's the foundation. And then we can grow from there. But without a foundation, nothing can take root.
Yeah. You know? It's just like burning fires, like putting the fire out, right? And then there's another fire, and then I put that fire out. It's like, okay, well, where's the fire coming from? Let's stop that.
And I'm exhausted chasing all these fires, right?
It's exhausting. And then you just like, I didn't feel confident and I wasn't happy. Yeah. So
yes,
it's much easier to say, oh, she knows it's going to work. I'm just going to trust her. And I'm not like stressing all the time about, well, is it going to pay off? I don't know. Like, I just don't worry about that anymore. I used to like not sleep well because I was freaking out. Now I'm like, I'm doing my action. If I'm worried, Barb told me, go back to this list. I do those lists. I feel way better. And turns out people call and they come in and it's brilliant.
Yes. Absolutely. All right. Awesome. Well, thank you so much everyone for being with us today. And to Dr. Erin, I think you're amazing. If I haven't told you that enough lately, I think you're amazing. And thanks for giving your time today. I really do appreciate it. And thanks for being willing to inspire others to just, do it. Just do it. Like, stop making it about yourself. Recognize that feeding fear with time is one of the worst things that you can do. And, and every single person, like, success isn't a resource that gets used up. Every person, there's plenty of success to go around. Right. But success also has certain principles that we have to follow in order to make it happen. So thanks so much. God bless you all. Have a wonderful day, and I'll talk to you again soon.
Bye.
Bye.